Hey y'all, thanks so much for joining me today. I'm going to be going over some tips and tricks to improve your side kick through. Now, before we begin the kick through, let's take a look at the starting position, which is your beast pose. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on to the side so you can see the lines that my arms and legs are creating. And first thing I'm going to do is just give myself a couple of little steps here, this little lifts to fully plant my hands into the floor. Not only do you want contact with the palm, but you also want a slight grip for the fingers. If you do struggle with wrist pain, gripping into the floor and corkscrewing can help alleviate some of that, or at least build a lot more strength and stability around the joint. I'm going to take a look at my wrist, elbow, and shoulder, making sure that I'm not sitting too far back or also too far forward. We want the joints stacked right on top of each other. So shoulder, elbow, and wrist, a slight corkscrew to the elbow to reinforce a little bit more stability for the upper shoulder area. And then last thing I like to pay attention to is what my elbows are doing. I have a little bit of hypermobility. So a lot of times just naturally my elbow pits, my bones will push slightly forward here. So I'll always keep a slight micro bend in the elbow with emphasis of putting more of the stability pressure through the base portion of my hand here. So I'm suction cupping my hands to the floor, little grip, stacking the joints, corkscrewing shoulders down and back, and then that slight micro bend. From there, I'm going to take a look at my knees. And so knees stacked under the hips is a little bit of a wider position for the side kick throw. So we're actually going to walk the knees slightly in front of the hip crease. Now, you can measure this with your other hand. So about a hand width distance ideally is what we're looking for. And then just aligning the other knee. From there, common thing that I see is people's feet and ankles will fold in. Let's make sure that we have a nice line from knee to ankle as well, tucking the toes, or at least trying to get as many of your toes flexing underneath, and then pulling those heels high and forward. All you're going to do from here, draw the navel up and in, take an inhale, and then exhale, press the floor away. So pressing the floor away, I engage through the shoulder blades and a gentle lift of the knees. So if you notice, my knees are pretty low to the floor, and that's exactly where we want to keep it. We want to avoid getting too high with the knees, putting too much pressure on the upper body, or letting the knees maybe drift in or cave out. We want that nice line from hand to knee to ankle. Okay, so that's the beast pose. And that will be your starting pose for your side kick through and a lot of other different animal flow movements. Cool? So going back to our position, set beast. I'll identify which leg is going to kick through. Right leg, I point my toes. This is going to help tell my brain which leg is moving. And then from there, you're spinning down the opposite heel, drawing back the opposite hand, creating this nice sling, extending your leg forward, and then really drawing and squeezing through the back line. As I pull the foot in, I'm going to bend my knee, lift off this back foot, and think about pushing myself back straight into position. Now, what you'll see happen as someone kicks through, you might get low and nice and beautiful here in this line, but you'll find that this big lift and drop happens. We want to see if we can stay as low to the ground as possible with this motion. So if you look at my back foot, my back ankle, the heel will lift like I'm pressing on the gas pedal. And then I'm just keeping that low position, always trying to think about as if I was able to slide a piece of paper underneath my leg, my knee, or my foot. Now, third thing we want to take a look at is the position of the foot. A lot of times you will see a sit through with the foot dorsiflexed or toes pulling towards the shin. For today, we want to actually plantar flex, point the toes away from the body. And you're going to get a little bit more quad activation, slight external rotation to the leg, and then really drawing back with the arm. Whenever I pull back with my arm, or whenever I'm teaching my students, I tell them to act like they're grabbing a rubber band and they're drawing that rubber band back, creating nice slinging tension. So once you load that tension back into the shoulder, you're already ready to give that tension back and push yourself back through center. Now, always check in with the wrists in between when you're learning new movements. Rolling the wrists out in between sets of reps is key. Last thing, I can't count y'all. 1, 2, 3. We'll say this is the fourth tip. Sure. All right. So If you notice that the shoulders really start to burn a little bit, we're going to feed into that burn by giving them a little bit of hydraulic motion. So hydraulic motion can just be, think of like your scap push-ups, right? So you can work scap push-ups as the beginning, knees up or knees down. Obviously with knees floating up, this might be a little bit more difficult. And that's what we want to get into, is progressing our challenge of the movement. So with this, once you start the hydraulic, you'll start to execute your side kick through. So we'll say right leg, side kick through. And then I'm going to start to release my hand. You'll want to go slow with this. Little pump at a time. Hit that full extension and give yourself at least 3 to 5 presses here. And then see if you can keep that press going as you come back through center. And then we'll hit the other side, left leg side kick through. This one's a little bit tougher for me. My left side isn't my strongest side. We're getting there. And back through center. Good. So once you get through hydraulics, again, give yourself a little wrist roll, shake them shoulders out. Last but not least, once we've gotten through learning more of the technique, we're getting really comfortable with these side kick throughs, then speed up your process. So speed up the timing of this and pay attention to my feet. This is going to be a great introduction for levitating side kick through. So set beast, right leg, side kick through. Now when I come back, I'm going to immediately hop and levitate the opposite foot. So I'm going to come back through and just a tiny little levitation, just pointing the left foot up, side kick through, inhale back through center, switch, and exhale. Now as you begin to get comfortable with this, you'll begin to increase the speed. And then from there, a little bit higher, until you can hit that full levitating side kick through as well. I hope this video was valuable to you. If it was, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos coming soon.